I will kindly ask to everyone in the room that you keep your mics off. Just to just for everyone to be able to hear the information that we are going to provide. Today we're very excited that with us there are representatives for the University of Mississippi and from the University of Southern Mississippi. My name is Mabel Martinez and I'm one of the Education USA advisors in Mexico. Before I start this presentation, that I will give it in Spanish, the first part, I would like to ask you, where are you guys connecting from? And if you have heard about Education USA before, you can type your answers on the chat, please. Let's see, don't be shy. From San Luis Potosí, Jalapa, Mexico City, Mexico City, Puebla, Sonora, Puebla. So we basically have people from the north, the center, the south, Guadalajara, yay, Pachuca. Okay, very good audience. So now I'm gonna switch a little bit to Spanish. Nayarit, yay. I'm gonna switch a little bit to Spanish just because sometimes it is difficult even in Spanish to understand what Education USA is. And one of the purpose of this session is that you also know the reach and the main purpose of Education USA. So, como les estaba diciendo, mi nombre es Mabel Martínez, yo soy la asesora de este bonito programa que se llama Education USA. Somos un programa que somos una red mundial de centros de asesoría que nos dedicamos a promover oportunidades de nivel superior en los Estados Unidos. Básicamente lo que hacemos nosotros es fungir como un centro facilitador de recursos para que cualquier persona interesada en estudiar en Estados Unidos se acerque a nosotros y pueda tener una mayor comprensión del proceso que va a empezar a hacer en los Estados Unidos. Todos los servicios que ustedes vean que diga Education USA, todos los servicios van a ser totalmente gratuitos, ¿vale? Absolutamente todo lo que hacemos es gratuito, ya que nuestro único propósito es acercarlos a que conozcan el ámbito educativo de los Estados Unidos. La red en general del programa a nivel mundial se compone de más de 400 centros en más de 170 países. Aquí en México la red es bastante grande, tenemos 23 centros. Yo soy la encargada del centro de asesoría de Jalisco, Colima y Nayarit, pero también existen centros en San Luis Potosí, en Querétaro, en Ciudad de México, en Sonora, en Puebla, básicamente en todas las ciudades de las cuales ustedes se están conectando. Hay un centro como el mío donde les van a poder informar y acercar a estas oportunidades. ¿Vale? Particularmente las actividades o el tipo de información que damos está muy enfocado a que ustedes tengan o sepan cómo pueden ustedes empezar un programa de licenciatura, un programa de maestría, un programa de doctorado, programa de inglés de verano, estancias cortas, entre otros. En esta sesión en particular vamos a hablar de becas para profesores de inglés. Para aquellos que quieran estudiar una maestría o un doctorado. Y por eso hemos invitado a nuestras amigas y amigos de las universidades de Mississippi. Y en un ratito más ellos les van a compartir la información. Pero también tenemos todas estas otras gamas de programas en las cuales podemos darles información y asesoría de cómo pueden iniciar un proceso de estudio. También tenemos asesorías personalizadas porque sabemos y entendemos que cada persona pues tiene intereses y situaciones muy particulares. Mucho de nuestro trabajo implica la difusión de becas y ayuda financiera. A pesar de que nosotros no somos un organismo que dé becas, sí conocemos a muchas becas o conocemos muchos tipos de apoyo que ustedes em, pueden acceder o pueden postularse para que puedan ayudarles a cubrir sus costos de estudio en los Estados Unidos. También tenemos consultas de materiales y guías de exámenes, tenemos muchos talleres, seminarios y foros, y tenemos de manera recurrente, sobre todo en ciudades a lo mejor un poquito más visitadas por los representantes, Ciudad de México, Monterrey, Sonora, Guadalajara, tenemos muchas ferias educativas presenciales y también tenemos algunas ferias educativas en línea para aquellos que se encuentran en otros estados donde no pueden tener acceso a estas ferias presenciales. ¿Vale? Este es nuestro servicio de asesoría, o este es el marco de asesoría que nosotros tenemos. Les ayudamos desde investigar sus opciones. Oye, Mabel, no sé a qué universidad irme, no sé por dónde empezar, qué debo de priorizar. Ese es nuestro primer paso. El segundo paso es ayudarles a entender esta parte de las becas y de la asesoría financiera. El tercer paso es completar su solicitud. Les ayudamos a entender los requisitos. Ahorita se van a dar cuenta que conforme las universidades vayan explicando sus programas de estudio y los programas de becas que tienen, a veces van a tener dudas a lo mejor en qué es un GRE, qué es, no sé, un transcript, cómo puedo hacer una carta de recomendación. Claramente las universidades les pueden dar asesoría, pero nosotros aquí en Education USA, ese es uno de nuestros principales trabajos, ayudarles con ejemplos, con asesoría personalizada, a que ustedes puedan hacer una solicitud más competitiva. Una vez que son aceptados, les apoyamos también a que entiendan un poco el proceso de solicitud de visa de estudiantes que van a hacer. Y el paso número 5 se trata de ayudarlos a que conozcan el contexto educativo al que van a ir. ¿Va? Entonces, antes de terminar con esta pequeña introducción, porque los protagonistas del día de hoy son los representantes de las universidades, les quiero contar de dos becas que salen de manera recurrente, que se pueden apilar o las pueden juntar con las becas que ustedes están a punto de escuchar por parte de las universidades de Mississippi, ¿vale? Estas son dos de las becas que más promovemos a lo largo del año, y son dos de las becas que son compatibles con cualquier otra beca. La primera beca es la beca de Opportunity Funds. Es un apoyo para cubrir los gastos iniciales a un proceso de admisión. Si lo quieren ver de esta manera, es una beca para conseguir otra beca, ¿va? Es una beca chiquita en términos económicos, ya que es solamente una beca de quizá alrededor $1,500, $1,800, dependiendo, pero es una beca en la que ustedes reciben mucho coaching y asesoría de nosotros durante un año, ¿vale? Esta beca como tal lo que les paga son las cuotas para exámenes. Ahorita cuando entren las universidades a explicarles los requisitos que van a necesitar, se van a dar cuenta que van a necesitar tomar algunos exámenes de inglés o algunos exámenes particulares, y esos cuotas nosotros se las cubrimos. También les cubrimos el costo de un taller de preparación para que puedan tener eh, unas, unas mejores evaluaciones en sus exámenes. Les ayudamos con el costo de las traducciones, el gasto de envíos de documentos, en fin, todo esto que se menciona acá. Entonces, es una beca, como les dije, que es una beca chiquita, pero que tiene mucho, mucho potencial en el sentido de que trabaja con el estudiante durante un año para que sean las universidades en Estados Unidos las que les ofrezcan becas completas. Estos son los requisitos generales. La solicitud de esta beca es muy sencilla. Este es el formato de la beca del año pasado. Este año la beca va a abrir en octubre del 2024. Entonces estén muy pendientes a nuestras redes sociales para que puedan concursar por esta beca si es que les interesa. Y luego también están las becas Fulbright, que son becas ya un poquito más posicionadas, más reconocidas a nivel internacional. Estas becas, las becas Fulbright aquí en México se llaman García Robles por los dos senadores que las trajeron y que las hicieron posible aquí en México y en Estados Unidos. Y las administra la Comisión México-Estados Unidos para el Intercambio Educativo y Cultural. Estas becas ofrecen becas a 4 áreas prioritarias: posgrado, investigación, docencia, maestros y profesionalización. Em, Dentro de esta beca, yo le sugeriría investigar las becas de posgrado, porque son muy compatibles tanto con la beca Opportunity como con las becas que van a hablar en un momento más las universidades de Mississippi, ¿vale? Estos son los criterios de elegibilidad general. Estas becas no son para ciudadanos con doble ciudadanía con Estados Unidos. Si ustedes son mexicanos chilenos, perfectamente, mexicanos colombianos, muy bien, mexicanos estadounidenses, no. No vivir actualmente en Estados Unidos y no haber residido en Estados Unidos por más de un año en los 5 años previos a las convocatorias. Estos apoyos, existen obviamente otros apoyos, otras becas que pueden, a las que pueden acceder. Y unas de ellas son las que vamos a hablar en un momento, pero también existen otras, ¿vale? Está FIDER, está FUNED, está algunos créditos, están varias convocatorias que a través de nosotros se pueden enterar y pueden empezar a revisar y estructurar toda esta parte de cómo financiar sus estudios en Estados Unidos. Si quieren recibir más información, si quieren conocer un poquito más, les voy a poner este enlace o pueden escanearlo. Y una vez que ustedes ingresen a este enlace, son 5 preguntitas que tienen que contestar y les va a abrir una página donde ustedes podrán agendar una asesoría personalizada con su asesor más cercano, ¿vale? Ahorita se los voy a dejar en el chat y les sugiero que nos sigan en redes sociales. Con eso, I'm going to switch back to English again, and I'm going to give the floor to our first special guest, the University of Mississippi, also known as Ole Miss. And for that, I will introduce my dear friends, Tracy Kolowoski and Dr. Dan O'Sullivan. Please welcome and thank you very much for being here. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll just introduce myself. My name is Dan O'Sullivan. I am the chair of the Department of Modern Languages. I am a French professor at Ole Miss. I've been there for a long time. I'm not originally from Mississippi. I'm originally from Boston, which is up north. But it's my pleasure to speak to you about our programs in modern languages. Tracy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Certainly. Thank you, Dan. I'm Tracy Kozlowski. I'm the Associate Director of the Intensive English Program on campus, and I work with the Office of Global Engagement. So I'm often the one who's down there in Mexico, in Guadalajara, in Pachuca, in Mexico City, visiting you guys. But I'm here to support Dan and this program and all of you who might be interested in these scholarships, either at Ole Miss or at USM, actually, because I'm with Study Mississippi as well. Thank you so much, Dan. I'll be here answering questions.
Sure. So the University of Mississippi, the state of Mississippi is on the Gulf Coast. It is in the southern part of the United States. It's wedged in between Louisiana and Alabama. And so Oxford, Mississippi is where the university is. And Oxford is in the north of the state. It is not it's not near the ocean. It's up in sort of the rolling hills of the state. It is a community that was founded in 1837, and as of 2020 had a population of 25,000 and change. If you are coming from La Ciudad de Mexico or Guadalajara or any of these places, it is considerably smaller than those places, but it is a very charming town, very southern, and very much a typical university town in the United States, where the principal, where there's a strong relationship between the town and the university, or gown, so town and gown. So the university, the Oxford has this, boasts this, what's the central square, which is where sort of the social hub of our town is. With that is Square Books Junior, Square Books right in the center there, which is one of the best independent bookstores in the nation. A lot of authors come and give presentations there. Oxford is very much a mecca for writers, Southern writers especially, but also writers in general. It is the hometown of William Faulkner. That's this gentleman sitting here, the bronze statue sitting here on the bench in front of City Hall. And this is a picture of Roanoke, which was his house that he lived in during the 20th century. It's one of the few buildings that survives from before the Civil War. Civil War in the United States happened between 1861 and 1965. And in, I believe it was 1863, that the Union troops burned Oxford to the ground. But this house survived, and some of the university buildings survived because they were able to convince the Union troops that it was in their interest to preserve them and to use them for things like hospitals and the like. And then this is our courthouse down. It's very Southern to have a central square with a courthouse in the middle. So the University of Mississippi is located right next to Oxford. And it was a university that was founded very shortly after the founding of the town. It was founded in 1848. It is called the flagship university because in the United States, often when you are the university of, enter the state, University of Massachusetts, University of Mississippi, University of Arkansas, those are called the flagship universities. It is an R1 university, which means it has the highest level of research and doctoral education happening. And it is also in the SEC, which is the Southeastern Conference for athletics. As you know, probably from movies and TV shows, athletics with American universities are sort of a big deal. Here you see our American football team in the stadium. They're running out to take the field. And then in the middle of our campus is an area, this green area known as the Grove. It is 13 acres. Is that about right, Tracy? 13 acres or so, 15 acres, which is a beautiful area for you to just relax in, to read, to throw frisbees and everything else. But then for the home games during the football season, it turns into this down here, which is this giant sort of tailgating party with tens of thousands of people who are gathered to have a great time and cheer on the Rebels, which is the name of our sports teams. And then this building over here is the Lyceum. It is the original building from 1848 that still stands today. So that's where the chancellor, who's the head of the university, has his office, the provost, and everything else. And it's just very typical of the kind of Southern charm that you would see at our university. University is divided into a college of liberal arts, which is where modern languages is, but it also has schools of accountancy, applied science, business education, engineering, journalism, law, pharmacy, as well as the graduate school. So we are a comprehensive university that teaches all of these fields. There are over 20,000 students on the Oxford campus. So while there's 25 people who live in Oxford, during the school year, there's another 20,000 people living here, which are the students. And there's also a medical center in the state capital of Jackson, which is about 3 hours south of us. So Jackson's about 3 hours south. Memphis, Tennessee is the closest big city. It's about 75 miles to the north. I guess that'd be about 160 kilometers to the north of us. I also want to point out that the university has become increasingly diverse over time, where about 20% of our students come from racially underrepresented groups, about 20%. of which 11.4 are African American, 4.1 are Asian, and 5.1 are Hispanic or Latino. And there's an increasingly large international student population at the university. As you walk across campus, you will hear any number of languages being spoken among our students and our faculty. It's truly an international, cosmopolitan little bubble in rural Mississippi. Let me tell you a little bit about the Department of Modern Languages. The Department of Modern Languages is in fact the biggest department at the university in terms of full-time faculty. We have approximately, on any given day when we have visiting faculty and the like, about 70 full-time faculty members. And we have about 70 full-time graduate students. About 20 of them are master's students, and another 50 are PhD students. We have the fastest growing PhD program at the university in second language studies. I'll talk about that in a moment. We teach 12 languages: Arabic, Chinese, French, German, Italian, Japanese, Korean, Portuguese, Russian, Spanish, Swahili, and Turkish. And we also teach linguistics, both theoretical and applied linguistics. And we teach teaching English to speakers of other languages, or TESOL, which I understand a lot of you are interested in. We offer a bachelor's degree in Arabic, Chinese, French, German, Spanish, and linguistics. You can also take what is known as a minor in those fields. It's just fewer courses, and it's called a minor, not a major, in those fields. Plus all of the other languages except for Turkish, which is offered only by a Fulbrighter who comes every year from Turkey. And we would like to build that program into a minor one day, but we haven't had the chance yet. We house 2 federally supported language flagship programs in Arabic and Chinese. We have 2 of the best Arabic and Chinese language programs for undergraduates. These are students who often want to go into government work, military, State Department, law enforcement, but also business and non-governmental organizations. We welcome Fulbright foreign language teaching assistants every year from places like Tanzania and Turkey and Russia. And at the graduate level, we offer 2 degrees. There is a MA in modern languages and a PhD in, well, it's actually a PhD in second language studies, but applied linguistics is the biggest track in there, okay? So let me give you an idea about the master's program. So we have 1 master's degree known as the Master's in Modern Languages, and you have emphases in several fields. You can you can take an emphasis in French, German, Spanish, or applied/theoretical linguistics/TESOL, okay? You are able to do a subfield if you wish. If you want to take a certain number of classes in French because you speak French, or in Spanish because you love Latin American women authors. Dr. Martin is a specialist in Latin American women authors. You are able to take those classes and apply them to your degree, even as your emphasis is something in linguistics or TESOL. And it's not unusual for us to teach native speakers in these classes. Just this past semester, I had native French speaker in my history of the French language program. So the program is 36 credit hours, which is 4 semesters of 9 credits each. So it lasts 4 semesters at 9 credits. If you are in French, German, or Spanish, you can opt to write a master's thesis or not. You can just take a comprehensive examination instead of a master's thesis. But if you are considering going into a doctoral program afterwards, we often suggest you do the master's thesis so that you have an idea of what it's like to do original research and write a long document and things like that. If you are in applied linguistics or TESOL, you will compile a portfolio of your work that you will have accomplished over the 2 years, which can also be very useful for applying for a PhD program to show admission committees, what you can do and what have you done. Okay, assistantships. This is what you all want to hear about. What we have assistantships are offered to the best qualified candidates. What is an assistantship? An assistantship means that you either assist a professor in their research, you assist a language program, and then in your second year, you would teach a class in Spanish or perhaps in ESL. Tracy is with the intensive English program, and we have graduate students who work in that program as well. Okay. The idea is that you would work a certain number of hours per week. In exchange, we would pay all of your tuition. You don't have to pay any tuition to us. Okay. There are a couple little fees, but not bad. Okay. We're talking $50 to $100, not thousands of dollars. Okay. Whereas tuition costs thousands and thousands of dollars. Moreover, you would earn a stipend, you would earn a salary, if you will, of $6,250 per semester. Okay. For a total of $12,500 per year to help you pay for rent, food, living expenses, and that sort of thing. Okay. Usually in the first year, graduate assistants typically tutor, provide research assistance to a professor, or act as a teaching assistant. And in the second year, GAs typically teach. The number one language that undergraduates want to learn, because we have a language requirement at our university, the number one language they want to learn is Spanish. So I have need of Spanish speakers to come and teach undergraduates how to speak Spanish. And that's why I'm here talking to you. Okay. Please note that the GRE is no longer required for admission. You do not have to take a GRE. You have to provide transcripts, letters of recommendation, a personal statement, a writing sample, and you have to have a TOEFL or other English score, but you do not have to have the GRE. Okay. All of this information is online, and you can see it. All right. The last thing I want to talk about are the PhD programs, PhD program that we have. We have a PhD in second language studies, okay? And in there you have emphases in Spanish or applied linguistics. And if you wanted to do a dissertation on Spanish linguistics, that would be fine, okay? So Spanish can be either literature, culture, or linguistics, or if you want to do something in another language in applied linguistics, we can do that too. A lot of our dissertations are involve bilingualism and multilingualism, so code switching, so varieties of Spanish, for example, Puerto Rican Spanish, where there's a great deal of code switching between English and Spanish, and we have students who study the conditions under which people will switch and what the social meaning of that might be or might that entail. Okay. Again, subfields are possible but not required. This program's a little longer. This one takes about 5 years to finish because it requires classes, it requires a comprehensive examination, okay, a big exam that you have to show that you're ready to write a dissertation. You propose a dissertation, and then you write it and defend it, okay? And the assistantships here, like the master's assistantships, if you're in good standing, you can be sure you'll have your funding for 2 years. If you're in good standing here, you will have your funding for 5 years. You will have a full tuition waiver again, but the funding for the PhD students is more robust. It's $7,500 per semester plus $5,000 for summer support for a total of $20,000 a year. So we would pay you $20,000 a year. Normally, to get into the PhD program, you already have to have a master's degree. So you would start teaching Spanish immediately. All right, that's what you would start doing. You can certainly come do a master's degree and then decide to stay on for a PhD. We have people who do that as well. But you can't go from licenciatura directly to PhD, at least not yet, okay? Fall entry is preferred, though spring entry is possible. Usually in the fall, we spend all of our assistantship money, okay? So you have a better chance of getting in fall. So you have so this fall, we've already spent all our money for this fall. So you're looking at applying for fall of 2025, which means you should try to get your application in before March 1 of 2025. Okay. Here is the link. Okay. The graduate school handles all of our applications. So you click there and you would slowly build your application. Okay. We do not monitor the completeness of your application. It's up to you. You ask people to write letters of recommendation for you. If they forget, we are not going to remind them because we don't know who they are. Okay. You're going to have to make sure that your transcripts get sent and your letters of recommendation get sent. Of course, you can communicate with us and we will help you, but just let you know that it's up to you to make sure your application is complete. Okay. All right. I'm going to stop there, right? You can ask questions later on after the University of Southern Mississippi makes its presentation. There's my email address, okay, dosullivan@olemiss.edu. Anyone is welcome to write an email to me. I will put them in touch with the right people, the right graduate program coordinators, whether for one of the master's degrees or one of the PhD emphases, okay? So thank you for your attention. Tracy, would you like to add anything? Did I forget anything?
I don't think you forgot anything at all, Dan. I think that was fantastic. And perhaps if anyone has questions while we are going through these presentations, if you want to put your question in the chat area, some of us could be answering the questions while the presentations are going on as well.
Fair enough.
Okay. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Let's see. So I guess we'll go ahead and let's see. It looks like because I got kicked out, I am not able to do screen share. So either Mabel, if you can allow me to share my screen, or Jeannie, if you want to drive for us, we could go ahead and jump in and get to ours. My name is Sheminga Sevich.
And you try to share again. I think you're now able to do it.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Okay. So hopefully I'm not going to drop out. A few minutes ago, I lost my internet. We've been having some storms, and so we've had a little bit of trouble there. So hopefully we're here to stay. I'm Dr. Gusevich. I'm faculty in the Master of Arts program in the Teaching of Languages at the University of Southern Mississippi. I am the coordinator of the TESOL certificate and the primary teacher for the TESOL classes in our program. And I'm here tonight with my colleague, Jeannie Gillespie. And Jeannie, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
A ver, hola, muy buenas tardes. Yo soy Jeannie Gillespie y soy profesora de español y de estudios indígenas aquí en la Universidad del Sur de Mississippi. And we're very glad to be with you today and looking forward to answering your questions and sharing a little bit more about our program here in Southern Mississippi.
And you'll see that here on the first slide, you have my contact information right here. Dr. Gillespie's contact information and a link to our webpage. So after the session, I believe they are going to share these with you so that you'll have that contact information so that you can reach out to us and we can answer any questions that you might have. So moving right along then. We're going to talk just a little bit about the University of Southern Mississippi, then focus in on our program, a little bit about where our graduates end up, and of course, talking about the graduate assistantships we have and what you need to do to apply. So that being said, the University of Southern Mississippi is, it was founded in 1910. It was the state's first teacher training college. So it was the first university in the state of Mississippi to teach teachers how to teach. We were ranked in 2024 as one of the best education schools in the nation by US News and World Reports. We have students here from over 50 different countries, and we have over 30 study abroad programs. So international education is very important to us here at the University of Southern Mississippi. We're also what's called an R1 research institution. So that means that our programs and our faculty focus on doing high quality research in all of our different disciplines. We're located in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And so you can see here on the map, our heart is in Hattiesburg. So you can see where Hattiesburg is located. We're close to the Gulf of Mexico. So you can see here, New Orleans might be a city that you're familiar with. It's about 2 hours away. Pensacola, Florida, which is a really nice vacation destination, is about 2.5 hours away. Of course, on the Mississippi coast, we have beautiful beaches and casinos and all sorts of fun things to do there. Memphis is about 4.5 hours, Houston about 6.5 hours. So just to give you a general idea of where we're located. And I'm going to defer to Dr. Gillespie to tell you a little bit about Hattiesburg, the city that we're in.
This is our link to our Hattiesburg Convention and Visitors Bureau. We're a city of about 100,000 and close to the Gulf Coast. It's a very urban area. There are many larger cities on the coast, a lot of port cities, and a lot of industry in that area. So it's a little bit different than the north. Also very southern. It is one of the first places that rock and roll was recorded. We're very proud of that. And we also have a beautiful zoo. We have a lot of biking trails, walking trails, a lot of outdoor activities, a lot of art. It's a very artful community as well. We have a lot of wonderful music, from classical music to some of the best alternative bands come through here. We have several venues that pick up touring artists, especially on the way to Jazz Fest in New Orleans. So it's a lot of fun to live here. We have good food, and we share that coastal culture that a lot of Mexico also shares. So we hope that you would have a look at all the wonderful things that you can do here in Hattiesburg.
All right, so let me see if I can get us back to where we were. Sorry about that. Let's see. I'm gonna have to stop for just a minute. My computer is not being friendly tonight at all. So we've already talked about where we're located, a little bit about Hattiesburg, and now we're going to jump right into our program. So you'll see here we say the MADL at USM. That's the Master of Arts in the Teaching of Languages. And our program has 3 different emphasis areas. We have an emphasis in Spanish if you want to teach Spanish and improve your Spanish teaching. We also have French, and we have teaching English as a second language. One thing with our program is you can also do a dual emphasis, or we've had some people study all 3 areas. So if you're interested in Spanish and French, or Spanish and TESOL, or teaching all 3 areas, we can accommodate that in our program. Now, our program is really focused on helping you develop as a teacher, first and foremost. So we do have courses that teach you about research, how to do research, how to use research in your teaching. But our main focus is on pedagogy, methods, and second language acquisition to improve your teaching. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean that you can't take what you've done in our program and go on to do a research-based doctoral degree, because we have lots of students who do that. We provide a really nice foundation for that, but we don't have you write a thesis. Instead, everything we do is very applied. We have a portfolio that you do at the end of our program and a practicum instead of doing a research thesis. Our curriculum, we have some core classes that everyone takes regardless of their emphasis area. In the core classes, we look at teaching second language theory into practice. So that's a methods-based class where we learn some of the best methods for teaching language. We have applied linguistics, second language acquisition, sociocultural, sociolinguistics, and like I said, we have a practicum at the end of the program where you put everything that you've been learning into practice in your classroom. We also have very highly qualified and engaged professors. Our faculty work with our students on completion of their portfolios. We work very closely with you throughout your practicum. And we try to, if you are interested in research, we like to work with our students one-on-one to help them develop research, present at conferences, compete in some of the research-based competitions that we have at the university. So that is an option for sure if you're interested in that. And then, like I said, with our emphasis areas, we have Spanish and French and TESOL. If you are going to, regardless of your emphasis area, you're going to do the 5 core classes. Each class is 3 hours. So that's a total of 15 hours. Then for the TESOL emphasis, you would do another 12 hours, which would be 4 TESOL courses, and then 2 more courses that could be electives, or they could be additional courses in teaching English as a second language. Our Spanish and French emphasis areas require 18 hours in that language. And so those courses are going to really focus in on the language and the culture. And Jeannie, would you like to talk a little bit more about those courses?
Sure. That's my area. I don't have the linguistics or sociolinguistics background, but I do have a background in language and culture. And so my classes are often focused on studying the cultures. I'm really interested in Indigenous America. So I teach courses on Indigenous cultures in the Hispanic world or Spanish-speaking world. I teach a class on 500 years of Hispanic presence in the Gulf of Mexico. That includes, of course, everybody that touches the Gulf of Mexico. So we look at Cuba, the entire U.S. Gulf Coast, also the Mexican Gulf Coast. So we look at the different cultures, starting from the people, the indigenous people, and then moving through various eras, looking at how the Gulf Coast is a zone of interaction. I'm also interested in oral tradition, and so my students they study oral traditions like the corridos and the huapango. We look at dance and music and things like that too. We have colleagues that teach classes on food. We have popular culture courses. We also still have the literature courses for those who are interested in that area as well. So you get a lot of different ways to prepare your content for teaching, but also in our classes, we allow you to choose between a research paper or an applied process where you create lesson plans using the materials you're studying. And also you can take courses in the other emphases. And we have a lot of our TESOL people also take Spanish. So they may be in my Spanish class, but they teach a lot of second TESOL or bilingual education. And so they are allowed to prepare materials for those classes as well, because all of that's shared in the portfolio as evidence of content knowledge and stuff. So we try to help everybody prepare to be really good teachers, but also to have that research component. And we have a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And that portfolio that she just mentioned, again, that is going to be a place to showcase what you've learned in the program. You can include lesson plans that you've developed during the program, papers that you've written during the program, and it becomes something that you can use when you go to apply for jobs, or if you want to go on for a doctorate. That's a really good piece of evidence to show what you've done and what you've learned in the program. So moving on to probably what's the thing you're most interested in tonight is our graduate assistantships. And our assistantships are very similar to what they described in Ole Miss. We have 6 competitive assistantships for the Master of Arts in the Teaching of Languages students. These are going to allow you the first year that you're in our program to work as a tutor or to assist a teacher in teaching their class. So that you can start to build your knowledge of the American higher education system before you actually go in to teach your own classes. The second year, once you've had that experience tutoring and helping with another teacher's classes, then you will be assigned 2 classes of your own each semester that you will be responsible for teaching. Now, this is in our French and our Spanish emphasis because we are using these to help teach our introductory level French and Spanish courses on campus. And so what happens often with our graduate assistants is that they will do a dual emphasis. So they might do French and TESOL or Spanish and TESOL so that they can take advantage of the graduate assistantship. They can get the coursework that they need that would prepare them to teach at a high school or university level in the United States, teaching French or Spanish, while they're also developing their teaching English as a second language abilities. If you are interested in one of the graduate assistantships, the deadline for the application is March 5th. So if you wanted to get an assistantship here, you would need to do the application thinking about fall of 2025. And in the spring of 2025, we will be reviewing those applications and interviewing interested applicants so that we can find the right people for those positions. So if you get the graduate assistantship, you get a tuition waiver and a stipend. The tuition waiver means you don't pay for your classes. The stipend means we give you a little bit of extra money every month, very similar to Ole Miss. That money is going to be enough to cover your textbooks, to cover your studying expenses, and a little bit more. We also give you access to health insurance with your graduate assistantship, which is very helpful. So you would get financial assistance during the fall and the spring semester if you were given the graduate assistantship. Normally, this is for 2 years. So like I said, the first year you're learning about the system, you're tutoring, you're assisting. The second year, you are actually the teacher there. You get really great experience. If you're interested in the graduate assistantship, then in addition to the regular application, you would need to send a letter to the coordinator for the MADL program, letting her know that you're interested in this opportunity. So what happens with our graduates? What opportunities do you have if you complete our program? Our graduates have some wonderful opportunities. We have some of our graduate assistantships go into the U.S. public schools, and they're teaching either Spanish or English as a second language in our public schools here. Some go into adult education programs. They might be teaching at a university, either in the United States or overseas. We have some, for example, one of our graduate assistants got a job teaching at is it Michigan? I think Michigan State. He's teaching Spanish there. Some people decide they want to go on and do a doctorate. So I have 2 of our graduates here who decided to go on and complete a doctorate. We have Tania Leal Mendez. She's actually from Puebla, and she came and completed the MADL program. Then she went on and taught Spanish for a few years, decided she wanted to complete her doctorate. So she went on to her doctorate. She's now on faculty at the University of Arizona as an assistant professor, working in second language acquisition research. We have Dr. Amy Simpson-Burden. She was one of our graduates who taught for a little while, decided she wanted to go back in and do her doctorate. She has worked with the Michigan Language Assessment as a senior research technician. She also right now is working with the Center for Applied Linguistics in their test development. And then we have people who just decide that they want to continue teaching. So Robbie Peters and Judy Wren are 2 great examples of students who came through the program. They've taught in the public schools here in the United States. They taught in China. Now they're teaching in the faculty of the English department at a university in Oman. So there are just so many great opportunities for our graduates, and we've seen them placed in schools all across the United States and overseas. So if you are interested in joining us here, our application process, we're going to need a personal statement of 300 to 500 words. This is going to explain to us why you want to study with us. Why do you want to complete a master's degree? You're also going to need an English proficiency test. So you may already be familiar with the TOEFL or the IELTS. These are the two that our students most often submit to show their English proficiency. You would need 3 letters of recommendation. And normally we recommend that that be from faculty who have taught you in the past, or supervisors or other teachers that you've worked with, letting us know why you would be great for our program. And then finally, we would need transcripts. So we would need your records from the other colleges and universities that you've attended so that we can see how you did in those programs and what kinds of classes you took while you were working on those degrees. So that gives you a basic overview of our program. And Jeannie, do you have anything you want to add or anything I left
just
out?
a little bit. I know we're here to talk about research, assistantships and TAships and support, but I also want to mention that our program is available 100% online, and we have students all over the world who study with us. So in the online classes, you'll have people from they could be public school teachers, they could be teaching ESL, and we've had them in Japan. I had one class where I had students in Japan, students in Germany, students in 5 different states, and it's really interesting to see how they're applying their skills and working with their students all over. So if you're interested, we don't have a TAship for the online program, but that is also an option.
Absolutely. And we have a lot of students who take advantage of that option. And so we're used to working with people who are outside of the United States and studying with us online. And so I think that's about it. We would love to open it up to questions. If you had any questions, we'd be happy to answer those.
Thank you. Thank you both, university representatives, for these insightful presentations. So now is the time for questions for all of you that are connected. This is the time that you can actually take advantage of, because you will not have these people again like this willing to answer your questions. So we have one question. I already made this question to the University of Mississippi, but I don't know if it will be different from the University of Southern Mississippi. Can I apply to this program if I major in engineering?
So we have people who come to the University of Southern Mississippi to our MADL program from a variety of backgrounds. They're not all from teaching backgrounds. What you would need to do is explain why you're making the shift. Why would you want to take this degree after having done a degree in engineering? And how is this degree going to support your future goals? And as long as you can show us that you had a strong academic background in engineering, that you did well in school, so academically you're prepared to be successful in a graduate program, and you have interest, you have a personal interest and personal goals that this will help you achieve, that's not a barrier, that's not a problem.
Yes, Gabriela, go ahead. You can.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Well, basically, my question is regarding the online experience. I suppose that platform is open, like the 365 days a week and probably like all day. But are there any like Zoom sessions, like weekly or monthly, or like any specific times or sessions that are a part of the online time that you as an individual student do?
That varies from professor to professor. I prefer asynchronous, but we always are assigned a chat at a certain time, usually in the evening because we have a lot of students that are teaching during the day. But so the chat can be office hours, but some faculty actually use the chat for classroom, but not all of them. But it is open. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Shima.
Sorry, I can add that for the TESOL side, because I teach most of those classes, so I can tell you if you're doing the ESL side, we normally have one, we call it a Zoom chat or a Teams chat each month. So once a month, we get together as a class, you get to know your classmates because community is very important. So we get together and we'll have an activity, we'll discuss some of the concepts from the book once a month normally. And then I have very open office hours. So I give everyone a link and you can get onto my calendar anytime you need. If there's something you need me to clear up, if there's a concept you don't understand or an assignment you don't understand, we're very open to that. And then also we have activities throughout the semester. Again, keeping in mind that everyone's in different time zones and spread out all over the place. We do have other opportunities for you to engage with your classmates using things like Flip or using perusal, social annotations, lots of different things that we do to bring everyone together so that you don't feel like you're just out there on your own doing it, but you have the flexibility you need to work around your job. Most of our students are working full time. So working around your job and your other obligations because you have this flexibility.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and Dan is also answering some of the questions on the chat. Vivian, go ahead, please.
Thank you. I'm a little bit embarrassed because you can see the background in the kitchen and all my mess, but well, I decided to turn on the
Can you get closer a little bit to your mic? Yeah.
Okay, so I apologize in advance if maybe the answer to my question has been addressed already in your presentation. I simply couldn't make it on time. Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. Okay. So my question regards to the following. I wonder if you how to say it, if I can transfer credits from another institution, because I did a Master of Arts in the teaching of world languages and cultures at the University of Minnesota. Unfortunately, I couldn't finish the program. So I was wondering if I could have those credits and how you say that the Spanish is mixing in my head, but validated, how you say it, transferred. And if so, how would this work? How would this work? Thank you.
Viviana, it's Dan O'Sullivan here. Thank you for your question. Yes, it is possible. I don't want to give you any specifics right now because I need to look at the rules and regulations on how many can be transferred and things like that. Would you mind telling me how long ago you took these classes?
Oh, yes, sure. It was my last course was it finished in December 2016.
Okay, all right. So that's not that long ago. So if you want to email me, and give me and you can send me an unofficial transcript, just so I can look and pass it on to the GPC that you're interested, the GPC of the program you're interested in, we can have a look at that. I'll let Southern answer for itself, but I'll just say that yes, it is possible, but I don't want to give you specific information now and be wrong.
Thank you, Dan. And is your email in the chat, maybe?
I'll put it right here again.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
Okay.
Yes, and Dr. Gillespie, correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is it's basically the same at USM. We would deal with this on a case-by-case basis, so we would need to see where you went, what you've taken, how it lines up with our requirements. So if you want to shoot us and send us an email, and we can connect you to the right person to take a look at what you've done and how we could match that up with what we offer here.
I believe we allow 2 courses to transfer if they qualify.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And if you can also put your email on the chat, I think that will be helpful. Okay, I think the other questions were already answered. I just want to make a question from that is basically the sum up of different questions, but I see that the attendees are a little bit worried about these type of assistantships. How much money exactly will they need besides the assistantship to really be able to have a not excessive but comfortable experience as a grad student? So if you have to put it in not in money terms, but out of the 100% that is the cost of the program, the assistantship will cover 80, 70, 60. How many percentage do you consider it might be covered with the assistantship?
Maybe I can help out with this one for a moment, guys. Since I deal with applications a lot, and Casey can back me up probably. There is a financial certification requirement for international students so that they can qualify for the student visa. That financial certification includes the academic expenses plus the estimated living expenses at the university where you're studying. Based on that amount, which is based upon on-campus housing costs and on-campus meal plan and the international student insurance that you must have, for the master's level, they are usually going to have to show approximately, I want to say, because the numbers have just changed recently, but probably in the neighborhood of $4,000 in addition to what the stipend provides for the master's level graduate assistants. But for the PhD level, it should be covered completely because they receive more when they are in the PhD program at the University of Mississippi. Dan, can you verify what I am saying for University of Mississippi? And then maybe we hand it over to Casey or someone from USM.
Yeah, it is true that it's harder for the master's candidates, obviously, because they have less money. But you know, I answer the question by saying, you know, if you plan carefully, that you can get by. And we have plenty of graduate students who are already here who can help you try to find a place to live, give you some hints about living on campus. We do have for example, we do have a bus system on campus, which is free to all students. I mean, in the town. So if you can get an apartment on the bus lane, you don't have to worry about, you know, paying for transportation, and that sort of thing. Yeah, the PhDers have a little bit of an easier time of it, but we've, you know, but it's sort of a, you know, in the United States, graduate stipends are meant to keep body and soul together, but not meant to, be too comfy, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, with careful planning, you can make it.
Absolutely. There are lots of ways to save money by cooking for yourself, for instance, instead of buying an unlimited meal plan,
Right.
as an example. Plus you might, find yourself eating a little healthier or not. Okay. Casey, do you want to
Sure.
speak for
And I
USM?
didn't get a chance to introduce myself earlier, but my name is Casey Cole. I'm the Associate Director of International Admissions at the University of Southern Mississippi. And so every day what I do is handle I-20s and student visas to get our students here. So yes, as Tracy said, each university has a cost of attendance threshold. And so regardless of your assistantship, you have to meet that amount to be issued an I-20 to apply for a student visa. At USM, the difference is probably similar between $4,000 and $5,000 in addition that you would need to provide and support in some way. But I do want to point out, if you all are planning to bring dependents, so if you have a spouse or children that you would be bringing as well, that is additional funding. Because we want to make sure there's enough money for your kids and your spouse to eat too. There's an additional charge per person that's added on to that full cost of attendance. And so that's something else to consider. There's a couple of questions in the chat about additional jobs, but I would just say if you have an assistantship, you're going to be working 20 hours a week anyway, plus taking classes. There's not going to be time for you to have another job, nor can you really, because you can't have more than a part-time job as a student, and that assistantship is considered part-time.
Yeah, maybe in the summertime.
Yeah, I mean, you might, and there's always like some departments will provide additional funding during summer if they have it available, but it's completely dependent on what is available to the academic department for that school year.
Yeah, you have
Thank
to.
you.
Oh, I was going to say, you have to be careful because there are regulations at the university about how many hours a graduate student can actually work at the university. If you exceed those number of hours, you will not be paid. And in the summertime, the same thing. So if you have a PhD, if you're a PhD student with us and you're getting $5,000 a semester for summer, if you want to work in excess to that, things get complicated. Now we have workarounds, but you have to be we had a problem with a student who just decided to go out and get a job. And then when the paperwork kind of clashed in human resources, they were left without a paycheck for a pay period. So you need to be careful and you need to make sure that you are talking to us about what your plans are so we can make sure that you navigate those bureaucratic minefields.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of this has to do with federal regulations, not the university rules.
Right.
Right. The university is just trying to comply with the government. I just want to point out, so it's not misunderstood, that financial certification amount, that's not an amount you have to pay the universities. That's an amount you have to show that you have support for, that you are going to be able to take care of yourself, that you're going to be able to study and feed yourself and have a roof over yourself, over your family, if you have a family with you. So it's just showing that you have the support if you need it. It doesn't mean you really have to spend it. How you spend it depends on how you do that.
Yeah, and I also want to point out, we had the question about online study. Students who study in online programs are not eligible for student visas, so it's not an issue. If you want to do the program online, you just do that from home, and all you have to pay is tuition and fees. And so you don't have to provide financial support or anything like that, because we would not be issuing you an application for a student visa.
And I just wanted to point out that as Edith is reminded us on the chat, you can always reach out to your closest Education USA Advising Center, because there are other scholarships provided by the Mexican government or your university. For example, in the case of the University of Guadalajara, they have a unique opportunity and a unique scholarship where the university supports some students with their programs abroad. So this extra money that Tracy and Casey and everyone was talking about, can be from other sources as well.
Yes. Yes.
So we can explore Comexus, FUNED, FIDER, the universities from your host institutions. So there are a few strategies that you can start talking about with your closest Education USA advisor.
Right. Did we have anyone in the room with a spouse or children? Were there actual questions about that in this meeting today?
You can raise your hand. I am. Raquel says I am, but I'm not sure if she refers to if she's, yes, Raquel is
Okay.
raising
Okay.
her hand.
If they are school age children, I just want to point out that the public schools in Hattiesburg and Oxford are excellent schools, and they are free to any school age children if you are here. Okay, so that is also a major bonus to some of the people that I've talked to overseas. If they have children, then they are interested in the type of school their children might end up in.
And the schools have English as a second language programs. So if your children are not very proficient with English, that's not a problem. They have the teachers there to help them and support them.
And that's also free. It's provided for all the public. If you live here.
That is very good to know. Raquel, I'm not sure if that answered your question. Otherwise, feel free, please, to open up your mic. And I think your question will be the last question that we will take, just to for everyone's sake of time.
I'm sorry, my children are playing around here in the background, and I'm going to hear them. But I was wondering that if the visa application will also apply for them, for my husband and my children. That was my question.
Yeah, so when you apply to the university, if you are admitted, and then we get you to send us information about to get your I-20, which is your application for an F1 student visa. If you have dependents, you would then have to provide that information to us. We would need a passport for each one of them. And then, as I said, there would be, that additional funding that would be required. But when we issue the I-20 to the F1 student, the dependents would be issued F2 applications. So it's just the dependent student visa that they would receive.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Perfect. And with that, I think with that will be the end of this session. I just put in the chat the link where you can find your closest Education USA Advising Center. But thank you very much to everyone for being here. A special thanks to our special guest for being connected this late. And hopefully you will take advantage of these opportunities, and hopefully Mississippi will receive a lot of applications from Mexicans this upcoming year. Okay, so thank you very much again. Mil gracias. Merci, Dan. And see you next time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.